Welcome back and welcome to Tech Talk. A new tech hub in Detroit is working to help small startup companies create big solutions for some of the world's major issues. Alicia Bergio gives us an inside look at NewLab in Detroit.
It's a hub full of endless possibilities and innovation, a center full of businesses hoping to change the world. Welcome to NewLab.
An entire ecosystem that exists under one roof here in Detroit on the Michigan Central campus.
In the heart of Corktown, right next to the former train station in Detroit, sits NewLab, a center of invention.
Right now we have about 40 startups here under the roof at NewLab. We've really only been open for about 6 or 7 months here in Detroit. That said, we're growing really quickly. New companies are coming in every single day.
Rich Foley, head of partnerships and marketing for the 270,000 square foot facility, says each startup is working to solve world issues surrounding mobility and energy. NewLab connects these startups with larger corporations to create solutions.
The startups that are here are doing some amazing things, and they actually benefit from the relationships that we have in the city and around the country and actually around the world to be able to use their technologies in actual real-world piloting situations so they get to scale more quickly, get the feedback they need to make their technology even better, and we're actually at the same time solving some of those problems that these large companies come to us to help them with.
David Medina is behind Levac, an electric four-wheeler hoping to revolutionize the way we see off-roading by using different batteries, motors, among other tools.
All of that technology combined creates a unique product in the whole industry.
Levac, Medina's company, is one of many startups at NewLab.
I think that NewLab is an innovative hub that helps entrepreneurs to succeed. There is a lot of collaboration, like sometimes we bounce ideas between one founder and the other, and we're like, okay, what do you think about this? Have you done that?
Johnny Turnage agrees. 3 Saturdays a month, Turnage and his team at Even Score bring together hundreds of people to talk tech and bridge the digital divide at an event called Black Tech Saturdays.
We help demystify tech and help people trying to break into the tech industry find community to get jobs, get resources, and really just change the narrative around Mike Tech.
A native from Detroit, Turnage says he's grateful to places like NewLab that inspire innovation so opportunities like Black Tech Saturdays are possible.
I really do think tech, when it's intersected with community, culture, and art the right way, can really elevate everybody.
Then there's companies like WheelMe. Managing Director Rasmus Benvold says is the first and only autonomous wheel in the world.
That means is that we can essentially mount this wheel to any object, and that object will become an autonomous robot.
A robotic solution that originated in Norway, now in Detroit.
Detroit came out best in terms of the possibility of new customers, partners, and also access to all the manufacturing talent you have in this city.
NewLab, a center of collaboration.
That combination of energy that happens with startups and the speed that happens and that camaraderie and the connections that they make with other companies is really beneficial to all the startups that are in the building.
Ideas made possible right here in the Motor City.
The technologies that we're bringing to the fore are earth-changing, they're world-changing.
Reporting in Detroit, Alicia Bergio, CBS News Detroit.
Amazing stuff, and for more insight on NewLab Detroit, we're joined by its head of membership, Katie Sovin. We also have CEO and co-founder of Just Air, Darren Riley, and of course the CEO of Rebrand Cities, Hodge Flemings. Thank you so much for all coming in today. We have a full desk. Now, Katie, I want to start with you. Tell us a little about your role with NewLab. We saw some of the incredible stuff they're doing. Tell us about your role specifically.
Sure. So I'm head of membership at NewLab at Michigan Central, and membership at NewLab means mostly startups. So you got to see in that video some of the companies that are at NewLab, and so startups that are working specifically in materials and mobility and energy and trying to solve some of these really big challenges. And then beyond startups, the really sort of specific players that can help to accelerate everything that the startups are doing. So Michigan Economic Development Corp is a member at NewLab, other public players, nonprofits. So my goal is to essentially do everything that we can do to help them build faster, bigger, brighter companies for the world than they would anywhere else.
And that's quite a job title. So I also want to ask, how did NewLab become a part of the Michigan Central Innovation District?
Sure. So in 2020, NewLab in our Brooklyn Navy Yards location hosted a delegation from Michigan Central and from the state of Michigan. They were doing a bit of a benchmarking tour to see successful models of technology-driven economic development that had like some real measurable outcomes. So they came out to NewLab at our location in the Brooklyn Navy Yards that had been similar to what we're doing here, the seedling of everything that was to come in terms of the development of the Brooklyn Navy Yards. And from there, we ran a few pilot programs together, one focused on first and last mile delivery and getting essential goods to people in Detroit. And that was sort of the genesis of what we have today.
Incredible. Now, Darren, Just Air is one of the success stories that NewLab has helped with. Tell us about your journey specifically and how NewLab has helped out.
Absolutely, yeah. So Just Air, we are an air quality insights platform, really trying to help protect the 20,000 breaths we take every day. I think our intersection and partnership with NewLab and being a member there has done one or two things. One, having that community to bounce ideas off with that we just alluded to. I walk into the room, I see Johnny. Hey, how did you deal with this partnership? You know, how do I massage this messaging a bit, right? So we get smarter faster. We break through barriers a little bit faster just by having that density, rubbing shoulders with some of the most brilliant people I've met in my career. I think, and secondly, it's also learning from a technical perspective, right? You know, we saw WillMe and understanding autonomous, you know, AI, and you know, someone else working on AI. How do we incorporate some of those technologies to improve our product, improve our moat, but also to make sure we're delivering the right value for our customers. So I think it just helps us accelerate as entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. I think you'll never get away from that, but it makes it a lot more comfortable on this journey with NewLab and other community members.
Yeah, a lot of brilliant-minded people under one roof there. And you know, you said a lot of things there. The thing that stuck, 20,000 breaths a day, that's how many I'm piping in here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Holy smokes.
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
right, I don't know why that stuck with me. All right, Hodge, we didn't forget about you. I know you're sitting over there like, what about me, what about me? I want your opinion on NewLab and how it promotes collaboration, how it's really brought all these people together.
So when I think of NewLab, I believe that it's a human accelerator. I believe that it's going to be the blueprint for building $100 million companies by diverse founders. And I think there are three things that play into that. One is that the people that walk through the door. You have heads of state, you have politicians, celebrities, global elite, but you also have people with creative ideas. Number two is gravitational pull. A space like this has to have something that's connected to a big market. So Katie has already alluded to this. So it's embedded into the mobility market, which is globally it's about a $1 trillion market by the year 2030. And the third part is that you need a sandbox. It's a sandbox where people can create, innovate, and prototype ideas. I think you're going to start to see people who are going to come up with market segment busting ideas. And there's a great quote that I want to end with, and it's by Alan Kay, and he's a scientist. And he said, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And so I believe that the future is going to be created at NewLab.
Yeah, and it seems like they're off to a great start on that. Now, Darren, you mentioned earlier one of the benefits of working at NewLab is you have so many, you know, forward-thinking people under one roof. Now, as an entrepreneur, are you guys sharing ideas, or are people pretty proprietary? Like, I mean, if somebody asks you for a hand or an idea, how willing are you to speak up?
Absolutely. I love this question. Entrepreneurship, we're open. We're open because one thing all entrepreneurs know, and how do you know, execution is king. Or queen. But really, it's all about execution. And one thing that I'm really motivated by is, and it's not always the most healthy thing, but you know, when we walk in the door, maybe 10 p.m., you guys still see folks still working and cranking ideas, innovating with their team. It's the people who are really doing the work. You see all the technology, all the glitz and glamour on the outside, but all the hard work that it takes to get to that point really happens behind the scenes. But yeah, people are open with ideas, open doors. Sometimes, maybe not, I probably shouldn't do it too much, but people walk in the door and say, hey, what you working on? I may have a meeting, so maybe not, but oftentimes, hey, yeah, come on, hey, what's your idea on this website? We saw, for example, Mike, who's building a thing called Stockpile, using AI technology to invest in things you know. So if I see this bottle or this shoe, how can I point to the public company that may invest into that? you know, thinking about how he's doing his onboarding. How does he educate folks to make sure they have access to public markets, right? Who may often not know how to do that exchange. So all that to say is that, yeah, we're very open with ideas, because at the end of the day, idea is worth nothing if no one's putting it out there to the world to see.
And it's good to know that everyone's open to sharing ideas and see where they can go with those. Now, Katie, what are some of the projects happening in NewLab that you can share with us at this time?
I mean, there's so many that we just saw that the companies are working on. There's one that I'm especially proud of that is happening right now. We just announced a collaboration with the Port of Monroe. And so this sort of represents, I think, the magic of bringing government together, industry together, and then the startups together to accelerate towards what we think will be a more sustainable and resilient future. So indulge me for 1 second.
Okay.
If we think about like supply chains today, I think we can all agree like it's not quite working as it should. For a long time, they've been based on like a hub and spoke model. And we believe, and you see it today, right? It's incredibly congested. This is hugely problematic. When there's one problem, there's this domino effect. We believe that we are headed towards a more like decentralized model of moving goods. And so you think about logistics and supply chain and pulling back from the like very stressed infrastructure that we use all the time to new form factors, new ways of transporting things. So this collaboration with the Port of Monroe is an opportunity for us to build like a bit of a living laboratory for startups to get this like very coveted opportunity to test their technology in a real world environment. And the port gets an opportunity to look at technologies that are actually going to help them move the dial on becoming a port of the future. So to me, that is the epitome of what we're trying to do here and bringing people together and solving these problems. And I would definitely look out for what we're doing with the Port of Monroe. It's incredibly exciting.
NewLab Detroit, fascinating stuff happening down there. Katie, Darren, thanks a lot. Hodge, you bring in fascinating guests. I only get to ask you one question. We're out of time, but you will be back next Tech Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, thanks
Absolutely.
for coming in,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Appreciate that.